Hey guys, Bruce again, and we're going to do a real quick training module on mopping the serving room floor. Now this is a unique floor, and while mopping doesn't seem to be like it should be that big of a challenge, this particular floor kicks our butt, and it's mostly because we're just not doing it right. So I'm going to cover that for us here today. Now it's really loud, so I hope you can hear me, and let's get started. Okay, the mopping of this floor is a two-phase process. After the sweeping, anyway, we're going to initially apply the chemical, which I'll demonstrate shortly, and then we're going to just simply wet mop in order to remove the chemical and the grease that builds up. Now the chemical provider says that if we just put the chemical down only, what happens is it works really well at working the grease up off the floor. The drawback is it leaves it now on the surface, which creates a sticky, tacky, squishy sound that we get in this room. If we mop it correctly, we put the chemical on, we give it a couple of minutes to work its magic and dissolve the grease, then we come back with just a fresh water mop to pull the chemical and the grease off. And you'll be surprised how much we get off this floor even after we mop it, with just the fresh water. So let's get started, and we'll cover all the processes as we go. Okay guys, so we have our bucket set up, and now I want to emphasize there's only one right way to do this process, and that is to use that mop bucket. I've heard of some other ways, and I want that to stop. I don't want any more shaky, sketchy, halfway doing this job. You're going to do the mop, you're going to do the mop. We fill that bucket with chemical. It's a two-part process, as I've already indicated. The first, we're going to run the actual chemical used for this floor, which is the red. We're going to fill the bucket about halfway. It doesn't have to be a lot. This is a really small floor, and it takes very little time. Now we've swept and we've moved some stuff around, and what we're going to do real quick is just mop the floor. Now one thing I want to tell you is we're not going to wring this mop out. We want it to be really wet, so we're going to apply the chemical and let it do its job. Okay, now we've put down the chemical, and the whole process took 6 minutes and 30 seconds. From the time I walked up with the bucket to the time that I got everything mopped, 6 minutes, 30 seconds. I wasn't using a lot of force, a lot of extra energy, putting the chemical down, letting it work for me. That's what we need to do. Now let's go empty our bucket, rinse it out, and get fresh water and come back and finish this job. Okay, I've got my fresh water. Now, since mopping with the chemical and mopping with the fresh water all look the same, I'm not going to make you watch that process. What I will describe to you, though, is the fact that when you mop, rinse frequently. So about every 4 or 5 feet that I come back, as I'm applying fresh water and rinsing, I'm going to continually flip my mop. I'll go 2 or 3 feet, I'll flip the mop, go 2 or 3 feet more, then I'm going to rinse it. The key is we're picking up chemical, we're rinsing it out into our bucket. When we're done, you're going to see this fresh water will look murky and muddy, and that's because the chemical actually works. So let's get this process done, and I'm getting ready to start the timer so we can have a total time for the entire process done right, and let's go. Okay, so I just finished fresh water mopping the floor. It took almost 4 minutes, not quite 4 minutes, and some of it I actually went over twice just because I felt like I wanted to push the limits a little bit, maybe do a little better job. Having chemically mopped the floor, or let it set for a couple of moments and then fresh mopped it, I'm less than 15 minutes total, including the time it took me to get my chemicals. Now I want you to take a look at the mop bucket. I want you to understand that that mop bucket, and the way it looks right now, is after somebody said they mopped it the night before, but they didn't use the chemical, they only used fresh water. If you use it properly, that chemical will eat the grease off this floor. If you mop it with fresh water properly, that chemical will remove all of that grease that would have been sticking to people's shoes in this room, on this floor today. So, less than 15 minutes, we're going to use the red mop with the red chemical, let it sit for a couple moments, and then we're going to come back and use the blue mop with the fresh water, and we will have totally cleaned and stripped this floor and be ready for today. One final note is, at the end of every session where we mop, the next thing we do is we're going to rinse out that bucket, we're going to rinse out that mop, we're going to hang them up to dry just like we found them. All of that being said and done, we now have a clean floor and we're ready to get to work. Thank you. Okay, since we did the video this morning of how to clean the serving area, I thought I'd go ahead and demonstrate how to clean the dish room area and all of the quarry tile floor that's in the back. Again, it's much along the same lines, so we're not going to have a lot of demonstration, but I do want to tell you that it's a single chemical. It is the green chemical. By the time you're watching this video, hopefully we'll have the green mops to go with it, to match it. Secondly, once a week, when we wet mop this floor, and we'll put the liquid on heavy, we'll take the deck brush and we're going to rub that in, scrub it in, and then we'll squeegee it all into a nearby drain and allow that to sit. Then the next day we'll mop as normal, which is just say we put it on pretty heavy, mop it down and allow it to soak in. This particular chemical is called wash and walk, and it has a biological aspect to it that actually stays on the floor wet, and while it's there it's eating the grease and breaking it down, so it actually helps clean the floor a lot better than theoretically normal cleaners do. It's different than what we use on the front floor because the material in the front floor is different and this wouldn't work with it. So let's get started. Okay, as you can see, I've thrown the soap on pretty heavy. Now we're going to take the deck brush and scrub it down. As you can see, that's pretty strenuous work. It really takes a little energy. So when we do this, I usually break the kitchen into segments. So I'll do like the dish room and the pantry hallway, and then I'll do the front of the kitchen on a separate day. So don't try to do it all at once, just break it into little segments. Now we'll squeegee. Okay, so that gets it. We're not looking for perfection in this process. The goal is to get the floor really wet with the chemical, to scrub it up, loosen the grime, and then to squeegee it into the nearest floor drain so that the chemical, the biological aspect, can actually do its job and eat the grease and help clean the floor. Now when we mop the floor normally tomorrow using the same chemical, it'll be much cleaner than it was today when we started. The stuff really works great. Now I'll tell you, all of our floor drains the floor is sloped away from all of our floor drains. So when you go to squeegee, you got to keep in mind that it's not going to naturally go there. And as you do it a little bit, you'll discover there are certain patterns for how the water will flow. But it doesn't take a lot of extra effort other than the deck brush. It can be a little tiring, but do it in small segments and we'll stay on top of it. And the floor will end up looking great. And again, we're going to do this for the rest of the hall and the pantry room. And then tomorrow we'll do the front of the kitchen, the actual food prep area. And so that once a week we knock out both sections and the floor stays nice and clean. We mop normally every other day. Okay, so tie that into what you learned this morning about how to clean the serving area. And that's our floors. It's quick and easy and it doesn't take a lot of time. The key is just we got to make sure we get it done. Thanks. I hope you learned something. Bye.
Thank you.